For many years, Russia has been like a vast black hole, relentlessly sucking in a huge number of incredibly talented Ukrainian artists. Since Soviet times, the only real way to become a true star and acquire the keys to a Volga was in Moscow, performing on the Central and, indeed, the own TV channel and entertaining the Politburo at closed communist orgies. That's precisely what they used to call corporate parties back then.
No beer, no dominoes. Everyone, let's go to the red corner to listen to symphonic music. And one worker quite sincerely said, what the hell do we need that for?
In the first decades after the collapse of the USSR, nothing changed. Ukrainian artists, however, still went to Moscow for big money and considerable fame.
Look at me closely now. Just do exactly as I do. Do as I do.
It's hard to imagine Russian pop music without Ukrainians at all. Without them, all that would be left is one eccentric Bulgarian, the eternal grandma Babkina, and the flat earther Loza.
The Earth is not shaped like a sphere. There isn't a single model of a river in the world that has been implemented on a spherical surface. Rivers do not flow on a spherical surface. Airplanes fly according to flat Earth maps. Ships sail according to flat Earth maps. The UN emblem is a flat Earth map.
Until 2014, there were no questions about Ukrainian performers working in Russia. But after the annexation of Crimea and the start of the war, society quite rightly demanded that performers clearly state their civic position. Some artists were immediately sent to Moscow after the ship, back when it wasn't yet mainstream.
I am addressing the Russian people. For 5 days now, your planes, your tanks, rockets, and grenade launchers have been killing peaceful Ukrainian people. This truly monstrous crime, unparalleled since World War II, cannot be justified by any such goal, especially one that is deeply false and utterly contrived.
Some chose to remain silent, as if they were for Ukraine, but at the same time didn't want to lose their corporate gigs at Gazprom.
It's me, Alinochka, and I am here to share something with you.
But there were also those who wholeheartedly supported the aggression against their own country. Kobzon, a native of Ukraine, became its main hater. Winner of the Golden Star for a song at the elections, Kobzon to this very day.
Our enemies, these Ukrainian puppets, need to understand clearly that the Donbas region cannot be conquered, and
this man was indeed even proud that he had buried his navel in Donbas.
Born in Chasov Yar, this is my homeland, where my navel is buried. It's here in Donbas. This is my homeland.
After 2022, it became absolutely impossible to remain neutral. You had to choose. You were either for the people or for the orcs. How do you feel about the phrase, "there are no good Russians"?
I agree. Some people just want them to leave us alone. But I crave revenge. I want something to happen. I want them to feel at least a little of what my parents, my relatives went through. I don't want them to just get away with it. We won, and that's it. Everyone goes on living, still sitting at Patriarchia with a glass of champagne. I truly want there to be some kind of a shake-up. Perhaps it's not very humane, not very noble, but that's just how it is.
But some Ukrainian artists, however, chose the path of Mordor instead. And not only did they stay there, they supported the full-scale invasion.
Our noble cause is truly just. The enemy will surely be defeated, and victory will ultimately be ours.
When Maidan ultimately won, I actually warned that a devastating civil war would inevitably start. At first, I genuinely thought a civil war would break out, but I immediately wrote that there are only two distinct sides. There's Russia and there's the so-called America.
The leader of the band Django, whose real name is Podubny, is a native of Kiev. But that didn't stop him from supporting Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022.
When Vladimir Vladimirovich launched the special operation, I basically said, well, yes, a special operation against the dollar has begun.
Moreover, this ghoul is calling for the complete destruction of Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. He considers the Ukrainian language hostile to Russia and demands its total ban.
You know, remembering that I once lived in Kiev, I don't remember anything anymore. I understand just how vicious the whole situation is there now. I'll even put it this way. it's a kind of demonic situation. I don't even feel drawn to go there.
Django spreads fake news about the war and supports the occupying army. And in 2024, he became the Führer's trusted representative in the so-called elections.
Russian people of all nationalities, we will absolutely have to come together and bravely fight against this basically monstrous hydra. The opponent is very serious.
This isn't just Django, it's pure cotton bingo. And in Ukraine, the best friend of Givi and Motorola faces up to 12 years as a traitor and instigator of war. This Django definitely won't be unchained.
Say goodbye to you all.
Another repainted matryoshka in Putin's ranks is Taisia Povali.
This situation is incomprehensible to me. How can anyone wish for the destruction of the country of Russia?
A fountain of propaganda abundance pours from the mouth of the former people's artist of Ukraine. For 8 years, they dambled the Bambas. Putin is the president of peace, Ukronazis, and a worldwide conspiracy.
In 2022, you also ended up in Moscow. Amazing. Amazing. Divine providence. But for me, it felt like salvation. This whole situation with the special military operation, I realized that I was being saved.
And by the way, this is a former People's Deputy of Ukraine. This Botox miracle used to pass laws for Ukrainians. Turns out, instead of a heart, she has a kokoshnik.
Today I want to express my sincere gratitude to my beloved country, this truly great and remarkable country. Russia, I love you.
Taisia Mankurtovna has already successfully received her official Orc ID and has even managed to cast her vote for the formidable dwarf conqueror.
It's just the times we're living in. You know, the more they try to encroach on us, the more united we must be.
Povali performs in the occupied territories and supports the occupying army. As they say, that's a big mistake. The victim of plastic surgery has been charged by the Security Service of Ukraine under 3 articles: collaborationism, public calls for aggressive war, and justification and support of the armed aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine. That amounts to about 12 years of performing at corporate parties behind bars. They might even form a Django band in prison.
You're truly welcome to our humble abode. Indeed.
Another wolf in sheep's clothing is Ani Lorak. Before, if you read her name backwards, it's spelled Carolina. But now, no matter how you look at it, it just spells sellout trash.
It just so happened that at that very moment in time, well, significant political events occurred, and I consequently became a complete hostage of the entire situation, because in every conceivable way, they made it abundantly clear to me that I absolutely had to make a definitive choice and, well, basically diligently follow the established agenda. In other words, to severely limit my creative expression and ultimately turn into some kind of artist who just says and does exactly what she's explicitly told to do.
Moreover, unlike the obsessed Povali, whose brain was eaten away by the worm of the Party of Regions, Ani Lorak submitted to the Kremlin purely for money. She simply couldn't refuse the easy cash that pours down in Russia on Ukraine's traitors in a triple stream.
News is now coming in that they want to strip you of your titles in Ukraine, that they've removed some plaque or star from the Walk of Fame. When you see all of this yourself, does your heart still truly ache at all, even a little bit perhaps?
Of course it hurts. You understand? To realize that your own, well, your homeland, but it is your homeland. And when there's so much hatred.
At the time of the full-scale invasion in February of 2022, Ani Lorak was located in Belarus, from where the initial attack commenced. But while rockets and bombs were raining down on Ukrainians and Russian soldiers were looting our cities, Ani Lorak acted as if nothing was happening, chatted with Kremlin propagandists, and cynically declared that she was for peace in the whole world. Not a word condemning the aggression against her homeland. Not a word about Moscow's crimes.
She stays silent, damn her.
Ani Lorak shamelessly chose to completely ignore the ongoing war, acting as if absolutely nothing was happening, as if tens of thousands of innocent people weren't dying, as if Russia had not attacked anyone at all.
I spent the summer meditating, working on myself, diets, yoga. Were you distracting yourself? I was distracting myself I delve into a search for myself.
Meditation really did help Ani Lorak kill off the last remnants of her conscience, and she calmly continued to entertain the ghouls of the Russian Reich.
Want you to give a round of applause, please.
By the way, Lorak still doesn't call the war a war. For her, it's a situation.
Gossip started from the very first day of this whole situation, right?
It got to the point where Ani Lorak took significant offense at Ukrainians for criticizing her silence and intensely hating on her for performing in Russia, or more precisely, in a brutal terrorist state whose leader is internationally wanted.
You could say that at that point, you were basically put in a situation where you could no longer continue your career in Ukraine.
I couldn't, because the concerts were being cancelled. Alena, I had breakdowns and everyone knows about it. Just imagine they were disrupting the concerts. And these were absolutely paid for, completely organized actions.
This paramecium really and truly wanted to calmly perform at the Kremlin after the tragic events in Bucha and genuinely hoped to get approval and support from the Ukrainian people for its actions. I really want to earn blood money so badly. Why does no one understand me? I don't know. Ukrainians, of course, indeed greatly appreciated Karolina's truly outstanding intellectual and moral qualities, and consequently furthermore made her even more significantly famous. The flash mob about drones for the armed forces of Ukraine from Ani Lorak became her biggest hit.
May I? Yes, I certainly can do so.
Ani, yes, I would like to extend my most sincere and profound gratitude and special thanks to the incredibly talented and truly remarkable Ani Lorak for the truly significant and noteworthy fact that she, Napike...
At the peak of this popularity, Judas Lorak's concert started being cancelled in Mordor. Here she finally revealed her greedy nature and started, on her knees, trying to prove to the Z-fascists that she supports them, that she is for Mother Russia and Father Putin.
It's just such obvious slander and manipulation to the point where you have to say something because we are talking about the latest news. Yes, when they started trying to cancel Ani Lorak's concerts, yes, accusing her of helping the Ukrainian military. They were even quoting some screenshots from the internet where you supposedly sent money to the armed forces of Ukraine and so on. That's why, in fact, there was a need for you to explain what actually happened back then. Let's just say that's not true. That's not true. Ani Lorak can't be accused of something she didn't do. Yes.
And now, a native of the Chernivtsi region, who has lived for many years in the vibrant city of Kyiv and is a people's artist of Ukraine, has officially applied for Russian citizenship amidst the wail of sirens in Kyiv and all over Ukraine.
You have certainly painted, you absolute bitch.
And what's most interesting is that her ex-husband, Turkish businessman Murat, didn't stay silent like his ex-wife. He openly condemned Russia's aggression, supported the Ukrainian people, and got involved in volunteer work.
Ah, good for him. Ha 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 ha.
Another infamous man-court with no kin or clan, Yuri Bardash. This specimen basically has a Russian television instead of a head.
Now, this is Kyiv. This is the new Berlin. This is basically the hotbed of this Nazi and fascist ideology.
Bardash apparently decided to pick up the crown from late Kobzon and go all in for the Russian world, as if it's his last chance.
We've been through so very much because of this ongoing Ukrainization. People who have lived all this entire time in Ukraine and are still living there, even if as unfortunate hostages, really, but still they truly don't have. So this Ukrainian passport is probably only truly valuable to those specific people who draw tridents on themselves here, who get them permanently tattooed upon their skin.
It's even surprising how so much hatred, anger, and fake news could accumulate in such a small body. Bardash is a textbook Z supporter. The Russian world always attracts disgusting and vile individuals. A man who beat his wife and cursed her for her pro-Ukrainian stance is the perfect follower of Putinism, stupid, spiteful, and greedy.
The only thing that surprised me about Bardash is that, I actually feel a bit ashamed for people that it was his political stance that finally opened their eyes to who Bardash really is. But as for everything else, I've already talked about him many times about how he treats women, and the fact that he's basically a dishonest person, the way he behaves, that was all fine. People accepted it. But it was only when he went to Russia that everyone realized what a jerk he is. Honestly, I find it funny because I figured it out
a long time ago and told people, but not everyone believed me.
In fact, Moscow did Ukraine a truly significant and considerable favor by taking all these questionable and dubious characters for itself. Now, they'll be polluting the air in the swamps. They've once again proven that a passport with the double-headed rooster isn't a citizen's passport. It's the passport of a truly disgusting, unprincipled, and utterly repulsive reptile.
Without honor, scume and those who allow and nurture him are just the same kind of brutes. And of course, all of this needs to be banned.
I would like to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. Our goal is not to mislead, but to highlight humor. Please take it with a smile.